Hey, what's up, everybody? This is episode number 3 of Finalize. And here with me today, um, I'm very, very honored to have Brandon. I'm sorry, that's Coach Brandon Colvin. That's joining me today on Finalize because a lot is going on in this NBA Finals. And we got to get down to what's really happening here. Brandon, um, please give us a brief background for those that may not be familiar with your history.
I'm the head women's basketball coach out at Lamar Community College out in Colorado. I've been coaching the last 15 years, men's side, women's side, junior college with a little bit of international sprinkled in. I was with the Qatar national team, the Middle East. I was with the pro team in Bahrain and a pro team in Denmark for a short time as well.
Okay.
Went in my eighth year as a head coach. Time seems to fly sometimes. So that's kind of my basic background, and it's been an interesting experience. I was a computer engineer for 2 years before I started coaching, so a little more non-traditional than some.
Absolutely. And Coach, I like to call game 1 and game 2 film games. It's in any 4 out of 7 series. Just my mindset, because I feel like, if you view it as a fight somewhat, you hit and there's an opportunity for you to hit again or get hit back, then we can kind of see where your temperature is, just my philosophy, right? So it seems like the Lakers are right now in cruise control. This game, they went by 10 to 124, 114. Where do you stand right now? What's your view of the series? Lakers up 2-0 right now.
I think the biggest thing I take away is they went from game 1 having a full roster with the Heat to losing their best post player, their toughest post player, and Bam, and losing Goran Dragic also. So you lose 2 of your main cogs. A short period, turn around to go to game 2. There was some bumps in the road. Getting down 18, not having that full roster. Who's going to step up? And I think you hit it on the head with game 1 and 2 are like video sessions. They've seen what they've got now with the short roster. Hopefully see some adjustments they can make. And Erik Spoelstra has proven in the past he can do it. I think it's just a matter of, do they have enough to beat this Lakers team with AD and LeBron playing how they're playing?
Yeah, great point, Coach. And with if you take the leading scorer, so Jimmy's still scoring, right? He was one of the leaders with 25 points, 7 of 17, and of course LeBron with 33 points and 14 out of 25. Jimmy, do you question anything that Jimmy's bringing to the table at this point?
No, he's got a hurt ankle. He's on a hurt ankle. He scored the ball, but he also had 13 assists. Got to the line, I think, 12 times. For them to have a chance to win, he's gonna have to do that every game. He's gonna have to be their go-to. And he's shown the ability to trust his teammates, even though they're maybe not on the same level, which is going to be huge to eke out 1 or 2 wins and see if they can make this a series. So I think Jimmy's doing what he's supposed to. I think he's showing the toughness. I think he's trying to show the leadership, all the things that he's been questioned for in the past.
I totally agree. But thus far, I've been he's probably, in my book, the most improved player. If they're giving out, I don't know if they gave out that award already, but in my book, he's definitely the most improved player of the year. I would give him that.
No, he's definitely got to be in that kind of running just because of all the questions about his attitude.
Sure.
He ran himself out of Philly. He ran himself out of Minnesota.
True.
He gets to Miami, joins a roster that was a playoff team 2 years ago, and has shown a bit to be a leader, to lead them to the finals, be that go-to guy, take them on his back, and it looks like he's having fun again. And that's a huge thing in basketball.
Oh yeah, totally agree, Coach. And of course, the majority is screaming sweep. You know, and
Yeah, they were doing that before the series even started, though.
True.
This even a full roster with Miami couldn't handle the Lakers.
Yeah, that and you know it's a fair argument. It's a fair argument when you consider Anthony Davis and LeBron being as great as they are. But you yourself, you know, what do you feel Miami can do? Like, if we're talking X's and O's, is there anything they can do in Game 3 that can turn this thing around?
You know, I think a question I have is why isn't Kendrick Nunn more involved? He averages 15 a game in the regular season. His playing time goes down immensely in the playoffs. He's one of your leading scorers. Meanwhile, Duncan Robinson, as good as he is, and he was in the regular season, has struggled in these finals. Scoreless in Game 1, 9 points in Game 2. You know, I think getting Nunn more involved, I think he's probably their best second option. You know, if they can get 12 to 15 out of Kelly Olynyk, he had a great game last night. You know, maybe they can combat some of that with LeBron and AD. I think the biggest problem is you don't see very many teams where their top 2 players are top 5 players, but also in the front court. Usually you have a guard and a big, so you kind of a wash there. Now you've got 2 bigs that are both monsters. How do you defend them without your best big? And that's just something Spoelstra's going to have to come up with. It may be throwing some junk zone at them, you know, running double teams at them, like guys that aren't scorers necessarily maybe.
Yeah.
It's going to be a matter of them finding that spark and wanting it more.
Yeah, I agree. And mentioning Dunn, I'm baffled. As you seem to be about Dunn, because Dunn, he's clearly fearless. He's fearless, and he plays both ends, you know, which really stands out. And I've been trying to figure that out. Why hasn't Dunn been a part of everything that's going on to this point? You know, so that's a great question.
You know, and it may be something, you know, with Kendrick Nunn that it may be an injury. You know, there's stuff we're never going to know about in the background.
True.
You know, and on the Hero has really stepped up his game. You know, so there may be something there why he wasn't playing, but like last night he plays, I think 27 minutes, has 13 points. Once again, outscores Duncan Robinson. And I'm not saying completely bench Robinson, but maybe it's time to give some of those minutes to Nunn and see if he can do something with them.
I agree. Kendrick Nunn is definitely one we all got to keep an eye on, because I think it's just a glimpse of what you know, he has to come for us. Coach, when I was looking at the box score and even just watching the game, right? The Heat are also getting beat up on the glass. You know, that's something that I looked at and said that can't continue to happen. And they're a fighting team. So the way they got beat up on the glass, that stood out to me. I was seeing second, sometimes third and fourth chances offensively for the Lakers. And that was the only part that where I said to myself, if this continues, it's going to be a sweep. How do you feel about that?
Go ahead. Sorry, Coach.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, I think that's a product of, you know, Kelly Olynyk's your best big left, but he's really a pop 4. He's not going to stick his nose in there necessarily and go get it.
True.
He got to rebound a little bit, you know, but I think when they lost Bam, they lost that toughness. You know, it's hard to replace somebody like Bam Adebayo, who's going to block shots. He's going to play his butt off on defense.
Yeah.
You know, Kelly Olynyk, who's going to play hard, who's skilled, but he's not a legit post presence. And I think that's part of the problem.
Okay, now with Bam, speaking of Bam, is Bam even a healthy Bam, right? Do you feel Bam is outnumbered right now? Do you think it's too much for Bam to keep banging with Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, McGee? You know, do they have too many bodies for Bam to fight against?
Yeah, I mean, and you've got two of those bodies with LeBron and AD, mostly AD because he's not going to guard LeBron very often, but they're going to play 38 minutes. Then you have Dwight Howard at center, who, remember, at one time was a no-brainer Hall of Fame player.
True.
You know, to have some more of that energy that he didn't have in the regular season. And then JaVale McGee's proven with the Warriors and other teams, he can play. He does some crazy things out there, but he can play. I do think it's a matter of, you know, Bam is going to give you, when he's healthy, 30, 35, 37 minutes. Who else is going to help him guard those guys? You know, give a guy like Haslam a chance to waste some of his fouls and just beat up on him. You know, do you beat up on AD a little bit? Maybe try to frustrate him. You know, and that's the question. I think the Heat are just outnumbered in that front court. You know, I think the backcourt, I like the Heat's backcourt versus the Lakers' backcourt. The front court, though, there's too much size and there's too much, I think, I call it star power with AD and LeBron that, I mean, they scored over half the points last night and went to the free throw line 4 times. You know, so
yeah,
I think there's too much in that front court for the Heat to really come back and win the series. I can see them pulling off a game or two, but not winning it.
Wow. And with something else that stood out to me about that game that I felt was very, very lopsided. The attempts, you know, Miami just not getting enough attempts. 71 versus the Lakers, 97 attempts from the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's your offensive rebounds, you know, 16-6 on the boards.
Yeah.
The turnovers weren't bad. It was 10-9, but the offensive rebounds, you know, makes up for 20 or for 10 of those 28. You know, the other 18, I'm not sure how those happened, but and like you mentioned earlier, keeping them off the boards is key.
Yeah.
You know, so anytime you get out shot like that, especially attempts, if they even hit half those, you're in a hole. So I think it is a matter of trying to find a way to keep them off the boards and being more efficient on their own end.
Totally agree. And Dragic, how much, because you mentioned the backcourt, you know, being you'll take Miami's backcourt over the Lakers, and I don't disagree. Dragic, how much is he a big deal in this series? How much is Dragic being out hurting the team?
I think it hurts him immensely. I mean, even he's a little bit older now than what he was, but, you know, that's a crafty guard who's been through it before. He's been through the playoffs. He's been through the grinder. He's a little bit of a leader. He can take some of that burden off of Butler. You know, and again, it's a point guard that knows how to play the game, can get others. With his loss, it forces these young guys to get older really quickly. You know, now Tyler Hero, Robinson, Nunn are all forced into being the man at one of the guard spots, and they may not be ready for that.
Very true. I agree. I'm very impressed with Dragic, and I think he could be a difference maker because, for one, Dragic can make it to where foul trouble could be a huge possibility on the Lakers end, and he can also, I think, kind of trick them into a shooting contest, somewhat. You know, if if he's out there getting with himself and his shooting abilities as well as setting up others. I think he can definitely open up the floor and get them a lot better looks. Now, Coach Erik Spoelstra, 12-year career to this point, 6 trips to the NBA Finals. Out of those 6, he's won 3. Coach, I gotta know this because I don't hear his name in the conversation too much. I don't know of his age. I don't know because he's still active. But where is Erik Spoelstra on your all-time list as great coaches? Or you could give me somewhere in the top 10, top 20. Where would you place him?
I have a problem with all-time rankings because you can't really differentiate between the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now style of play. All the coaches that coached back then. I think Spoelstra's definitely proven that he is more than a good coach because he had LeBron. If you remember when he won the first title, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. But he's gone back to the finals with other teams. He's had success in the East. I think he's definitely right now, definitely a top 5 coach in the league all time. I'd have a hard time knowing where to put him because I don't know all the coaches from the history. I know you got guys like Pop, Phil Jackson. Slipped my mind. Who coached all those Celtics teams back in the day?
Red Auerbach.
Red Auerbach. You got him. You got Pat Riley. Mm-hmm. You've had coaches. Chuck Daly with the Pistons had 2 titles.
True.
I think it's hard to figure out where to put him.
Yeah.
Definitely, if he keeps up where he's at career-wise, is going to have to be in that conversation of probably top 5 to 7. Especially if he can keep going to the finals with teams that most people will count out early.
True.
But he's definitely one of those guys that is a good story, from video room to head coach.
True.
He's shown the grind can work, and he's earned it, and he's definitely a very, very good coach and one of the best in the league.
And I want to make a correction because you helped me out with that first one. That first Miami title, Pat Riley was actually coaching the team with Wade and Shaq. So Spoelstra actually had 5 trips because I believe he was an assistant on that roster. But it's impressive, and I agree. Great players definitely made great coaches somewhat. So so I agree. But I would say Spoelstra would probably be in my in my top 10. Out of 12 years, 5 trips to the finals. And like you said, with groups that most would have been counted out, or like this group, unexpected, nobody had them being there. Is very, very impressive.
No, and here's the problem with judging coaches nowadays is everybody wants to use the excuse, well, he's got 2 of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
Why he should be going. Same thing with the Lakers. Yeah, they got LeBron and AD. They should be there. Doc had Kawhi and PG should be there. But you look back at the older days, Pat Riley never gets criticized for having Magic, Worthy, Kareem. Wow. Some of those coaches never get criticized for having McHale, Burch. Phil Jackson doesn't get criticized for having Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman at the end of his career. Everything nowadays is we're critical of good teams. Oh, they're only there because they're overloaded. That coach is only a good coach because he has great players. So I think very easily, if he continues his career the way it is, he's no-brainer, probably top 7 or 8.
Wow. It's great. It's great stuff, Coach. Of course, I got to ask you before you got out of here. I believe you pretty much gave your answer, and I just want to make it clear. This is what we do on Finalize. your prediction, and we can go 6 games, 5 games, sweep. Where is this going, and who is it going to?
I mean, I think it's Lakers in 5. I think the Heat are going to fight it the whole time. I think I think that he can win game 3, especially watching last night with Haslam going off in the timeout, trying to light that fire. So I can see them pulling 1 out. I just don't see them having enough to make it go 7 and to pull it out. Not the way AD and LeBron are playing. AD is a man on a mission, getting his first title. And Bam, I just think it's too much for them to come back from.
Yeah. Well, of course, I will never reveal my prediction, but
that's how that works.
I definitely appreciate yours, and great points and a great conversation, Coach. And I wish you all the best going into your up and coming season as well.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Outside not getting your prediction.
Well, listen, everybody. I'm your host, Darnell Oaks, and this is Finalized. I'll talk to you all soon.